And I sent the text. There it goes. And the car is on. Okay, I'm going to show you how I built my SMS car starter. Please refer to the description for some resources and materials that you'll need. First, I began with my remote car starter. Usually there are 2 buttons, and when you hold them together, they will start the car. I began by disassembling this device so that I could hack it and make it power on the car whenever power was given to the remote. So break the chip out of the panel. You can see those are the 2 buttons that you have to simultaneously press. I went ahead and essentially short-circuited them. I soldered 2 of the pins together for each button to simulate them being pressed. Then I soldered connections to each side of the battery terminal, one for positive and one for negative. And that essentially completes this hack. Next, I took the battery from the device and attached 2 wires to the positive and negative terminals. And I'm going to demonstrate that when we connect the battery to the remote starter, it will immediately try to start the car. The buttons are no longer required. And essentially what we're going to do is put a relay between one of these terminals, and our Arduino will activate the relay when receiving a text message with the appropriate command. Go ahead and set these aside. Next, we're going to have to make some modifications to our Arduino and our SIM900 GPRS shield. So go ahead and grab your shield. Make sure it's the right kind. On the bottom, this device has a SIM card holder. That's where we'll need to put our SIM card for whichever carrier you decided to use. I chose Ting. They're about $8 a month for 100 text messages. Make sure you put in the SIM card in the right orientation with the contacts facing down. It closes, and push up to lock it in place. Now take a look at your Arduino Uno. You can use a counterfeit board or the actual board. Generally, the counterfeits are the same in functionality and significantly cheaper. I have the cheaper versions in my product links on the description below. Go ahead and connect these 2 boards together. There's only one way that they'll fit. And now your Arduino has the ability to send and receive text messages. This shield also allows for phone calls and data plans should you decide to make some other modifications later. Go ahead and hook up your Arduino to your computer, and we'll have a look at the code. If you navigate to my website, zenvent.com, I'll have written instructions here. you can follow the link on the first post below. I also have the materials list and some advanced techniques that you can do at the end of this tutorial. Next, visit my GitHub page. You'll want to download this repository. There's a download zip button on the right-hand side. This will give you the main code that you'll need for the Arduino, as well as some additional repositories that you'll need to add to your Arduino software. And of course, head over to Arduino's website and ensure that you have the correct software installed for your operating system. I'm assuming that you've already worked a bit with Arduino before, but if you haven't, it's easy. Load up the file called remote car start and take a look at the comments. Really little modification needs to be done. These are the libraries that need to be added in order for this code to function. The GPRS shield, Arduino, and soli.h. The only actual modification you have to make to the code is to add your cell phone number here. That way the device can recognize your phone number and distinguish it from others who might be trying to start your car illegitimately. You can also change the command that you'd like to text to the car. Essentially, the code will evaluate the SMS messages coming in, and once it's confirmed that the correct phone number and command is met, it will supply power to relay pin, which is number 12 in this case. Sensor pin in and out will be used for detecting whether or not the car is actually running. I will not be covering that, however the code is here and I'll have details on my website. If you do decide to use the sensor pins, this is the code that you need to uncomment and delete the line below. For now though, we'll assume that the car will turn on every time that you send a text message, which is usually the case. Go ahead and hit verify on your Arduino software. Allow it to compile, and if it's successful and no mistakes, go ahead and upload it to your Arduino. Once the software is finished uploading to your Arduino, you'll see a green light, a red light, and a blinking green light. This means that the GPRS shield is initialized and ready to use. And in the middle of the two devices, I've programmed the Arduino LED, the yellow one, to flash on and off each time that it reads the SIM card. So if you want to be sure that your device is working, this is your visual indicator. It reads approximately every 5 seconds. That just lowers the power consumption of the device. This is the relay that I'll be using. You can use one that's similar, the same. It doesn't really matter. Essentially, you need a remote switch that activates on 5-volt input. You only need to connect 3 wires, VCC, ground, and in. And on the other side, this is where the switch makes contact. 2 of the leads will always be in contact, and 2 will only be in contact when the switch is powered. Go ahead and remove your GPRS shield if it does not have any pin indicators on it. This one does not. We're going to need 5 volts, ground, and pin number 12. You can mark these on the side of your Arduino so they're easier to find. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate directly on the Arduino just so you know which pins I'm using. The wires I'm using are more for convenience sake, but they have male and a female header on either side, which allows me to easily connect them with no solder. You can find these cheap online and also in the description below. Go ahead and connect one to ground, green. In is going to be brown. And finally, VCC will be red. Go ahead and put your SIM card back onto the Arduino and replace the wires in the correct pins. You'll see on this particular model they're not labeled. And I actually made a mistake here. Those two wires should be shifted over by one to the left. I probably should have marked them with Sharpie. Now we need to connect to the N terminals on the relay. This will just be splitting our battery source. In this case, I'll be splitting the positive lead. Go ahead and put the negative terminal from the battery into your remote car starter. And then place the two positive leads, one from the battery, one from the remote starter, into your relay. Make sure they're put into the normally off side of your relay. Go ahead and tighten those down. And you're done. It's ready to test. Make sure your garage door is open. Connect a power source to your Arduino and wait for it to boot up. You can use a wall port, your car, or in this case I'm using an external battery power supply. We can now see that the SIM card is ready to be read. I'll go ahead and send a text message to the device. And it works. Typically you'll have an LED on the relay modules, but if you don't, you can also hear them clicking. So if you decide you want to test without using your car starter at first, or maybe with an LED, that's possible as well. Lastly, I printed a 3D box. It's just ABS plastic. I was going to use MDF, but thought maybe this would be quicker and easier. You can use any material you like. I also made a battery port for the remote. It's just easier to put batteries into and can hold more of them, so they should last longer. And everything snaps into place. Go ahead and get your box ready and place it in your car. You're done. Unfortunately, my car's a little dark, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in this little cubby that I have, and I'm going to connect it to a USB car charger port. This one's actually a cigarette lighter that you can get on Amazon for a couple bucks, and it should work just fine. I'm just waiting for the device to boot up. And you can see the status lights, and it's ready to receive texts.